Let me preface something that I noticed while I was in Korea, and that is cafes generally, from what I saw, open later than restaurants and close later than restaurants. A lot of restaurants I noticed in Korea close around like 9 plus or minus 1 hour. So
Yeah.
around like 8 o'clock to like 10 o'clock,
Yeah.
right? But cafes be open till like 12, 1, and then they don't open till like maybe like late morning. Like sometimes like I
11.
think the earliest I saw was 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them didn't open till like 11 o'clock,
Mhm.
like right before noon. I was so perplexed by that because here in the States, most cafes open like 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., like within between 6 and 8 a.m. And they'll close by like 5, sometimes as early as 5, sometimes later to like 9 p.m. But it's usually the opposite, you know. Did you notice that?
Yeah. There's a reasoning behind that, though.
Yes, yes. Do you want to share with the people what the reasoning is?
Yeah, I think there's a couple reasons. It's multifold. One, earlier we mentioned our gripe that you have to buy a drink to sit in a cafe, but it's because in Korea, I was told this, the culture is people don't go to people's houses to hang out. People go to cafes to hang out. So that's one thing. And so cafes are a meeting place, not just a place to drink coffee and eat pastries. And then the second thing I think it has to do with is the insane drinking culture in Korea, right? So people are just out later and up later. So they cater to that. I think that's what it is.
What do you mean by that? They're out later and elaborate on that.
Because I think in Korea, they are out more and like they'll drink every single day.
Mm.
Like every single restaurant I went to at 9, 10 o'clock, every other table has like 5, 6 bottles of soju.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is a Monday we're talking about, or like a Tuesday. So I think they're just out drinking. And so they are sleep a little later and they wake up a little later to get coffee.
Yeah.
That's just my suspicion.
Did you notice that a lot of the cafes, they have chairs facing outward of the restaurant?
What do you mean?
Some of them, they were like, you're like looking outside.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? I've
Mhm.
noticed that a lot, especially in Busan. Like a lot of the cafes are like looking outside.
Yeah.
And generally because the beach was right there, so I understand it. But I noticed it also happening in Seoul as well. And I think that a lot of the times people would get dinner or whatnot, and because they close earlier, then they go to the cafes after, and
Yeah.
they'll just talk some more, and they'll get like some sweet, and then maybe drink some. Like if you're drinking coffee that late at night, I don't. That's crazy to me.
They sell decaf though.
Yeah,
They have decaf.
but like I said, maybe that is why their coffee don't hit as hard.
It's just all diluted.
So it don't keep you up at like after, because it's meant for people to come later. I don't know. I might be talking on my ass, but that's just an epiphany I just had just now. But and now I understand. Like we talked about this in a previous episode on our podcast. We said like late night coffee, like which is more intimate, or like day drinking and whatnot. Yo, I finally understand that question now that I went to Korea and I experienced that, and I understand why getting coffee with somebody of the opposite gender late night is such a bad thing.
Hey.
Or not a bad thing. It can be seen as a potential red flag.
Hey, I just want to just put this out there. If you're single and you go to Korea, you're going to feel real single, okay?
Oh,
Because what Jesse's talking about, why you can see it as a bad thing is when you go to these cafes in Korea, everyone is a couple. Everyone. You might see one non-couple in there, but everyone is a couple, it feels like, in there. Or if they're a foreigner, they're not a couple. But
I would say everyone. I think it's like a good like 90% of the time it's like a couple.
but late at night is extremely
Oh yeah,
90%.
yeah. When you go late at night, it's almost 90% couples in the cafes, and there's often then the other 10% is usually like groups that are like socializing or
Yes.
stuff like that. Like you like a bunch of I've seen a bunch of ajumas
Yes.
enjoying some croissants and some coffee together. But
Yes.
generally, yes, you're right. There's
Yes.
almost all couples in there.
Yeah, so that's why Jesse says he can understand why it's seen as a bad thing. Because especially in Korea, if you're in there late at night, that you're probably talking to that person or dating that person.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see why that's a bad thing.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. I've noticed something when it came to cafes, because since there's so many cafes and it's literally one in every single corner, if not multiple cafes in every corner. I've noticed that I could tell when two people were on a date based off their posture.
Okay, what is it?
Jay knows that I'm a very perceptive person, and I noticed that in Korea, like when the guys and the girls were in a position where they're like very like proper and they were all sitting up very uptight, and they're like, I'm like, dude, why is that? Why are they like so uptight and rigid right now? And I was like, dude, you know what? They probably on a date right now.
They probably on a date.
They probably on a date. And then I see other people just relaxed, lounging, you know, like they be like on their phone or whatnot. And I'm like, oh, those two are probably a couple. But then the other people that like really engaged, phones down, like talking, like, oh, that's probably a first date or a second date or something like that. And I noticed that's something small I noticed. But I don't know if it's true or not, but that's a little slight thing I noticed. Because I be people watching.
Yeah, you be people.
And every time I walk by, and there's so many, especially there's a huge cafe chain in Korea called a Tucson place.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh
there's
yeah.
so many Tucson places, and I see what y'all doing. Okay, I see what you're doing. I don't know if it's true or not, but I feel that they named that on purpose because it was legit a Tucson place.
Yeah. It looks like they have a bunch of tables of just two people too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good marketing.
Great marketing. Great marketing.